that we win. I want to thank our fans for their support and their patience, and they have my word. I'm doing everything I can, and we are as an entire group to get this thing back on track and head in the direction it needs to be, and they can take pride in their team. Thank you.
Welcome back, Bear fans, to the Windy City Bears Network, where I'm your host, RC. Today, I'm doing another video on Ryan Poles. This is going to be about his contract extension and what he's done over the 3 years in Chicago. I did an earlier video of him earlier this year, and I said I was going to do a follow-up after free agency and after the draft. So let's get started, guys. Ryan Poles, in my mind, has done a very good job. A lot of Bear fans do not think that he has. A lot of you guys wanted him fired. And going into this season, you guys wanted a new head coach. You wanted a new GM. But I do believe the Bears made the right decision by sticking with Ryan Poles. So let's look at some of the things he's done over the 3 years. First off, if you go ahead and look at the roster from 2021, the roster that he inherited, a 6-11 team, there's only two players left from that whole roster, and that's Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson. Everybody else, it's a brand new team. So in 3 years, he's completely stripped down this team and made it into his own image. We traded the number one pick that we got to the Carolina Panthers, and they drafted Bryce Young, who is a quarterback who they still don't know what they have in him. We got DJ Moore in the trade, Caleb Williams in the trade, Donnell Wright, Stevenson, our cornerback, Luther Burden, our wide receiver we just drafted. And we were also able to move and get a 4th-round pick by moving back one pick and got Torrey Taylor. So we've got 5 starters compared to their one quarterback who hasn't been fantastic. He also made a trade for Claypool. We gave up, it turned out to be the 32nd pick of the draft. High pick. It didn't work out with him. The one thing I will say about Ryan Poles, when things don't normally work out, he doesn't really hesitate to move on. You know, we got rid of Claypool within a year of making the trade for him, really. Nate Davis is another guy that he missed, and another guy that we didn't keep very long. He stayed about a year and a half in a 3-year contract. We ended up cutting him. And Matt Eberflus. So let's go into the coaching. So when Ryan Poles was hired, the Chicago Bears already started doing a coaching pool. They already were interviewing. They were down to the 3 finalists. So I can't really recall how many, but let's say they interviewed 15, 16 guys, and they moved on from them. They did say, Ryan Poles, hey, if you want to open up and do a bigger interview process, go right ahead. But part of the issue is you've already interviewed 15, 16 people that you said no to. You really think those guys, if Ryan Poles called them up, they really want to come back to Chicago and do an interview after they were told that they were eliminated? Most people would not. So that took away a lot of options for Ryan Poles. So he stuck with the 3 finalists, which I didn't think were that fantastic. And he picked his guy, and it didn't work out. And he didn't wait till his contract was over. He made a move, and he got the right guy, Ben Johnson. So if you want to look at some of these things, when he tried to fix the wide receiver with Claypool, well, now he's drafted Rome Odunze. You know, he tried to fix the O-line with Nate Davis. He made a trade for Joe Thuney, Jackson, and now we got our Drew Dalton for our center. So he's done a fabulous job, especially this offseason. But, you know, a lot of Bear fans will hear, oh, the Bears won offseason this year, next year. 3 years in a row, we won the offseason. So why are you guys upset with Ryan Poles? I understand we're not getting the wins, but his job is to put the talent on the roster. Coaching matters, and I think we've been out-coached. We definitely had the worst coach in the division, and it's shown. But moving forward, I think that we got a really good coach, at least a great play caller. We know that. But we'll find out how good of a coach he is. But he seems to be the real deal. And if you look at our wide receiver room, it's pretty good, either looking at talent or potential talent. And if you want to throw in the tight ends with that, you got Loveland, Cole Kmet, Rome, DJ, Luther Burden. I mean, that's a really, really good core. O-line. PFF has us ranked number 4 going into the season. We'll see how they play. But he put the talent on the team. Like I said earlier, you can only have so many draft picks and so much cap space. In 3 years to gut this team, reset it. We were one of the worst cap teams in the NFL when he took over, and we've been one of the best since then. He had to eat a lot of dead cap his first year, which we couldn't do anything. So it was just a bad season. Eberflus came out and went 7-10 his second year and won 5 out of his last 8. And so we kept him. It was a tough decision. Also, with Justin Fields, we spent a first-round pick on Justin, and he felt that Caleb was the guy. So as Bear fans, if you think that we've been poor with coaching and quarterback play, but you believe Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are the right men for the job, why would you want another GM? Isn't that part of what he had to do, is come in here, fix that? Yeah, and there's still things that need to be fixed. Absolutely. We know this, Bear fans. But he has put the right people in place in 3 years. I don't know why people would expect everything just to be turned completely in a year or two when you completely regutted the team. Like I said, only 2 guys left on the 53-man roster. That's a complete overhaul that he's done. Now you got Kevin Warren as the president. A lot of things have changed since he's taken over. So now you have these guys aligned to 2029. I believe we're going to have success in the next 5 years. I believe Caleb should become a top 5, 6, 7 quarterback in the league in the next 3 to 5 years. I think Ben Johnson could get Coach of the Year in the next 3 to 5 years. Things are looking promising. I think people also fail to realize, Ryan Poles, how young he is, being a new GM. He was in his 30s when we hired him, late 30s. So it takes some time. I think he's learned from his mistakes, and that's a good thing, because a lot of GMs make mistake after mistake after mistake, and they don't learn. So I think Ryan Poles puts the time, the effort into it. I think he deserved to be rewarded with a contract extension. And I'm looking forward to the next year or two when we can really add just a couple more pieces, because I truly think we're a couple pieces away from being a Super Bowl contender, or at least a regular playoff contender. But there's nobody really in the NFL that is just so scary that, the Eagles, in my mind, are probably the best team, obviously the Super Bowl champs, but good receiving core, best running back, good O-line, good defense. But all these teams are beatable, There's nobody who's just hands down going to run away with anything. Chiefs are still good, but they're not a scary team. Buffalo's good, but they're beatable. Same thing, in the NFC. We'll see what Detroit does now, losing 2 coordinators. That's going to matter. Coaching matters, and I think this is the year we're going to see how much coaching matters for the Chicago Bears. Because Ben Johnson, obviously, I believe, is probably the best coach since Lovie Smith. And Lovie has some very good success here. And hopefully Ben Johnson can have a little bit more success. Not just go to a Super Bowl, but win a Super Bowl. If any of you guys are Cub fans, when Theo went to the Cubs, they were horrible for 5 years. And they let the process work itself out. And they ended up winning a World Series in 2016. Now, for other reasons, they weren't able to go back and win another one. They were probably talented enough to go to another World Series. But they let that process work itself out. They let Theo do what he had to do, and he built a very good competitive team for the next couple of years, and they won a championship. I think, it's hard being patient as a Chicago Bear, because we've been saying, well, we haven't won a Super Bowl since '85. So, we're not really patient at this point. We've been through multiple head coaches, multiple GMs. But guys, I think we have the right people in place. We can still question ownership, And I'll say that about ownership. Everybody says, oh, they're so cheap. They don't spend money. We traded for Khalil Mack. We made him the highest paid defensive player in the league at that time. We traded for Jay Cutler. That was a huge trade. We signed Julius Peppers in free agency and paid him a lot. That was a huge signing. They have swung. They have tried. It hasn't worked out, but it's not because its ownership isn't willing to pay money. Ben Johnson is making $13 million a year, guys. He's in the top 4 for highest paid coaches in the league. They want to win. They're not a football family. They don't have a football mind. Hopefully Kevin Warren, he's been around with the Rams, the Vikings. Hopefully he is a football mind and can help a little bit. But I do believe Ryan Poles has the right mind, has the right people in place. We have a good assistant GM. And the thing with Ben Johnson is he also hired a great coaching staff. Dennis Allen, a proven defensive coordinator. Randall L., who's our assistant head coach, wide receiver coach, proven wide receiver coach. Eric Bieniemy, proven running back coach. Most people would think he wouldn't even take a running back job at this point because he's been an offensive coordinator for so long. Al Harris, one of the best DB coaches in the NFL, if not the best. We have a great coaching staff, guys. It's going to be an exciting season. You guys should be super pumped up that we have all these guys in place to 2029 because now it's just focusing, adding more talent, crafting this team in the way they want, and having the same offense and same defense for the next 5 years where we can really put the foot on the gas and really play well. Because Dennis Allen, he's been a head coach twice. Even if we have success, I don't think anybody's going to knock on his door for a head coaching job anytime soon. So he's going to be here for a while too. So these are great things for the Bears because even with success, we're going to keep most of these coaches. Most of them are not going to leave. We will probably lose a couple if we have a lot of success in the next 3 or 5 years. But as long as you can keep the main coaches, that's all that matters. And even looking at this draft this year, you saw the thumbprint from Ben Johnson on this draft, with Loveland. That was a Ben Johnson pick. So even though Ryan Poles is the GM and the man, he's going to listen to the head coach. He's going to get him what he needs for us to be successful, guys. So looking at what Ryan Poles has done these 3 years, I give him like a B. He's swung and missed. He's actually drafted pretty well. And it's hard to say because he's only been there 3 years. But I don't think anybody thinks Rome's going to be a bad player. I don't think anybody thinks Caleb Williams is going to be a bad player. Or Wright. On all the first round picks, I think everybody likes him. I don't think anybody says, man, we shouldn't have done that. Even on the second round picks, I think we've hit. He's missed on some third round picks. He's missed on some fifth and sixth round picks, which guess what? You're going to miss on those. But as a whole, he's drafted pretty well, guys. Velus Jones, yes, not very good. Third round pick. Probably held on to him longer than we should have. That was in his first draft. But his first 2 guys, he hit on 2 second round picks. Kyler Gordon just got a contract extension. Probably the best nickel corner in the league. And if Brisker wasn't having concussion issues, he's one of the best young safeties in the league also. He's hit on a lot of guys. He's brought in people in free agency. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, made another trade for Sweat. That's another good trade. He didn't play as well as we would like last season, but he traded for him, got him a contract extension, and hopefully he's going to have a great season this year. He's drafted well, guys. If you really go back and look, like I said, he's missed on a couple people here and there, but what team has not done that? All teams do that. So I think a lot of Bear fans, you guys have been a little too hard on him. I'm excited that he's going to be in Chicago for a while. I was excited when we got him. He came from a winning organization, and he was with 3 different GMs in Kansas City, so he saw different ways to do things. He's not an egomaniac where he doesn't ask for help or think he knows everything. He's learning. So you guys need to be a little bit patient with him. Jerry Angelo was our last solid GM. He took us to a Super Bowl in 2006. We lost. But I believe Ryan Poles has the potential to do better than what Jerry did. So let me know what you guys think. Tell me why you want Ryan Poles here, or why you wanted him to be gone, and who you thought could have did a better job. But like I said, I think he fixed the quarterback issue, and I think he fixed the head coaching issue, and those are the two biggest issues in Chicago. So that's what I have to say about the contract extension with Ryan Poles. I think he's going to do well. I think Ben Johnson's going to do well, and I'm looking forward to the season, guys. And even if we don't make the playoffs and we barely miss it or win 9 games, still be excited, because it's going to take a little bit of time for this younger team to learn everything and grasp everything. And with the type of schedule we have, guys, it'd be awesome if we win 10, 11 games. But, if we win 8, 9, should still be excited, guys. But until next time, Bear fans, bear down.